So as you may have seen, my project is something very simple. It's basically an immersive experience in some stories in Congo. And the concept was very simple because it was a collection of stories told by this reporter, which unfortunately is not here today. And it's a proper multimedia project. It collects whole photographs and videos and some HD videos in black and white. And it's trying to collect stories with different tools like audio and video and photo. This is why.
Katia, can I just interrupt you, please, if you don't mind? I think you opened two mics, two windows. Hello?
Hi there.
Yes.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Can I interrupt you guys? Just I think one of you opened two mics.
No, I have only one. I can check. I'm checking, but I think I only have one window open.
Maybe you should put on some headphones, Katia.
Hello?
Yes. It's only one, I swear.
Yeah, we are fine now. Good morning, Paulina.
Hi, I'm struggling to hear you, so I'm just going to see if my colleague has some headphones because I'm in a space where there's a bit of noise.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Thank you.
So, yeah, Katia, you can continue. Now we are fine.
Okay, we're fine. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, great. So yes, basically I was working with this photo reporter, and he used to run a radio program. He used to take photographs and be a journalist, and he was visiting Congo since 2008. So we decided to try to offer these all these travel he made and these reportings he did in a new way. Not just a website, not just a list of podcasts in a website, but try to offer a full immersive experience and lead the viewers into this travel online in order to discover different stories that could somehow bring back this complex situation of the Congo everyday life. And we didn't want to let people take many choices, because this travel was like complex, because we just wanted to show them the stories just like the reporter Gianpaolo did. So meeting through photographs, meeting the actors involved and listen to their own voices, and see through the short videos, see exactly how the environmental looks. The platform was developed with HTML5 basics, so you will see videos that how to play videos, and audio that starts immediately as soon as you click on the page. And basically, yes, it's a multimedia experience that tries to let you experience foreign topics in a kind of immersive and new way. And that's basically the concept.
You want me to
So-
take over now, or?
Should I show something, or I don't know?
Yeah, we'll come back to you, Katia. Thank you very much. And Paulina, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, so sorry we had to start a little bit before you walked in. Now, can I just go back to Emiel, please?
Yes.
Emiel, yeah, over to you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Like you said before, we hosted a hackathon last weekend. Not in London, it was in Amsterdam. And we teamed up with about 30 people, coders, journalists, theater maker, designers, to find out new ways to experiment with stories. And like our name is Hacker Stories, so we try to make new ways to tell stories. And the idea is that we want to make a community in the Netherlands, or maybe even in Europe, to experiment with that. So it was interesting to see how different kind of people work together on projects. We had 2 days just to came up with ideas and produce projects. I don't know if people saw the projects, but they were from really experimenting with interacting with the browser and audio and changing stories over time, to projects that were just really focusing on how do we tell a story. People who are really creating a story, just more like a game. People who are experimenting with virtual reality. And we could do this all because we asked these people from different backgrounds. So we had programmers, web developers, really working together on projects, and there's some really interesting results. So this group is new media, new journalism group, right? It's a students group. So I would advise you all to just find friends who know how to program, know how to make beautiful websites, and experiment with them.
Yeah, we have some 60 students from the new media stream, and yeah, we teach just the basics, the basics of immersive and web documentary. So that's why I'd like you guys to talk in a little bit more details about how to go about this, if you don't mind, please.
Yes, I can also elaborate a bit on my own project I did last year. It was also an interactive, a bit like Congo Tales, like combining video, pictures, stories. It was about 3 refugees in the Netherlands who came to the Netherlands and wanted to start studying. So I followed them for a couple of months, finding out how it's like to be a refugee and start studying and building a new life in the Netherlands, and what are the challenges. So the project focused on 3 people with different background, different stories, and we try to make it really for the web. So instead of just showing a video story, which lasts 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 2 minutes, we really thought how do users go on the internet. They watch short clips, they like to click, they like to interact, experience. So these videos were all cut down to short videos actually. So instead of having an interview of 4 minutes or 5 minutes, which you can watch, I decided to strip them down to 5 clips of 30 seconds. So you have a short story which lasts 30 seconds, which covers the basic part of your story, and if people want to get more information on the story, they can dig in deeper, so they can choose different questions. So we did this for all the scenes. We all cut up the storyline to make it more for the web. So I can share you the link later on. Maybe people can check it out. I've got the subtitled version as well. So
we'll come back to you, Emiel. Paulina.
Hi.
It's over to you, please. You can start with, say, the process and how you go about making a web documentary, and also would like to hear from you about your experience in making Avramba experience, your Ethiopian adventure.
Sure. Well, I can start by saying hi, thank you for inviting me. And I come from a documentary filmmaking background, and 10 years ago I was traveling in Ethiopia. And just by chance, I met this girl who was working in some of the villages in the northern regions, in the very remote northern regions. And she took me to a village which was called Avramba. And this village was quite different from many other villages I'd visited. I spent only an hour there, but in that hour, what I saw was so captivating and so impressive that I decided to start following the life there. Basically, Avramba is a village that was started in 1972 by a farmer who can't read and write. He just had an idea that men and women should be equal, and everyone should respect each other so that they can come out of poverty and work hard together to come out of poverty. He started sharing his ideas widely, but they were not accepted by anybody, so it took him many years before he was able to gather a handful of friends who started to discuss how they wanted to change society. So today, 40 years later, the small group of farmers have grown into a gender equal democracy where most young people now attend university. And so this is an amazing story of a place that has really come up with an idea and developed it into a practical working model that some people would call maybe modern day utopia. It's not so much utopia, it's really a practical example of how you can believe in yourself, believe in other people, and look at the skills you have and then take those further to develop yourself. So Avramba has been an inspiration not just to me, but thousands of people worldwide. And I was just lucky, I guess, to be there at a very early stage. And we made a half-an-hour documentary there in 2008. And after we shared that documentary with the community and also with audiences in different countries, there was always the same feedback, and that was, this is just a small story. How can we expand this? We want to know more. Everybody wanted to discuss the issues that Avramba was talking about, bringing forward. Issues like gender equality, issues like independence from aid, education, healthcare, elderly care, many of these kind of the global topics. So really, the interactive format that we're working was born out of necessity. So it was born out of discussions that we had with the community about what they wanted to do in the future, how they wanted to reach people outside of their village, outside of Ethiopia, and the fact that they wanted to share knowledge and share skills with other people. So we started, working together in a collaborative way, and we had a very small amount of funding to began the project by sitting down and thinking of the 10 most important that they wanted to bring out about their way of life. And so these 10 topics then became films, then they became spaces. And what we're working on now is an immersive, in a way, it's a little virtual world of the Avramba village. So you can visit Avramba online soon. And you can visit 10 of the spaces in the village that we chose together in 360 panoramic way. And inside you will find lots of content which it goes from documentary films to multimedia articles to interactive slideshows and some visualized data. So all of these kind of build a bigger picture of what Avramba is, how they think, how they live, and what they want to tell the world. And on top of the actual experience that users will have, they can also communicate with the community, and the community will be able to communicate with their audience. And we're sort of working out the details of how that's going to work. But this has really been a collaborative way of working, not only with the community, but with our team of creative people from 7 different countries. More than 20 people have worked on it, and this is not something that I came up with myself, but it's really a collaborative effort from lots of different creative people coming together and making a product that is good, hopefully.
Yes, for me it was something different instead. Sorry. Can I say something? Sorry.
Sorry?
Yeah. Thank you, Paulina. Katia, can you just, are you working on anything new now? Can you just talk a bit about your new projects, anything you're working on now, both of you?
Yes. I wanted just to say something because both Paulina and Emiel are talking about collaborative and bring together a team of different people like storytellers, videographer, photographer, the community itself where the documentary were being shot. This is something different for me because I only worked with Gianpaolo, who is actually the reporter that collects all the multimedia things. So I can see the limits of being just two people working together on something because you cannot really see the whole picture, and it becomes like a project that it's really good for you. You have everything in your mind. You know how to tell the stories, how to put the story together, but maybe some other people miss some point of the story because it's so clear for you that maybe you miss something. But I hope it will be clear for whoever watched Congo Tales that it's kind of an own experience that is trying to become a collective one, but this was just a point. And yes, we are working on something new, which is more interactive now, but it's basically based on a book that Gianpaolo wrote about smuggling, and we are thinking about making a new interactive stories based on illustrations and a little of gaming, but it's more like letting the viewer make an experience in this world of smuggling and I can hear something, sorry, and exploring the migrants' route. So it's just a draft for now, but yes, we are working on something new.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Emiel, could you just explain what actually that I was just showing the what you made in with us that President for a Day, with yes. President for a Day. It was so cool. It's just almost like a game.
Yes.
So could you just
we're really happy.
Multimedia storytelling.
Yes, well, to be clear, I didn't make the story. So we organized the whole event, the Hack a Story event. So this was a team of 4 or 5 people, and one guy came up with the story about a human rights story about Azerbaijan. So he had this fake ID, or at least some news story, which they started to build on. From that became the suggestion that this Azerbaijan president has an official Twitter account, which, if you read through his tweets, are pretty bizarre. So they started playing with that. At the same time, became a programmer who also wanted to do something more about gamifying a story. And they had a graphic designer who really wanted to play around with it. So they teamed up, and probably they had like a couple of hours of discussion. So what do we want? What do you want the users to experience? What's the story? And from there, they started to talk, discuss, write down all kind of ideas, and finally they came up with this project. Like I said, there were two storytellers in their team, so two journalists who were really focusing on the storyline. So because all the questions and all the facts that are in there are actually they are real. They're not made up. So they did a lot of research, searching for pictures. So they decided to break down the whole storyline into small parts to, like you said, to gamify the story and to reach an audience which probably isn't that interested in a country which is, well, it's between the Netherlands and India, so it's somewhere far away. People don't know much about it, and probably they don't really care that much about it as well, because it's, well, far away. Nobody knows about the country. So they try to, how do we reach this audience? So if you look at the website, it's really nice design as well. So they had like a graphic designer, user interface designer, who got really inspired by the whole style as well from Azerbaijan, which is a bit like Turkish design. You see the carpet design, you see the nice round letters, so he got really inspired by that. So they made like a really nice interface. And then they started to play around, like, how can we present this information that we have? So they had all these facts, which sounded bizarre sometimes. So they came up with fake IDs, which sounded more normal, which you would do as a president. And they combined this and give you feedback on your choice. And so they gave you feedback on your choice. And I'm not sure if it's working already, but they also wanted to, you see on the sidebar, like some influencers, like how are you doing it with your local popularity, foreign popularity, the games you're trying to organize. And they want to show that the choices you make as a president have influence, like, on your popularity in the country, outside the country, the power you have, the money you have, stuff like that. So they wanted to show the kind of like dictator he is, and the power he tries to get with his crazy ideas, and what the influences are on the human rights situation in Azerbaijan by choosing this kind of like making these choices. Is it clear?
Yeah. Can I just throw the floor open for the students to come and ask? They're going to come up here and ask you questions, okay?
Yes.
Hi, Paulina, Katia, and Emiel.
Hi.
First to Emiel, I really like Bob, the Harley Davidson guy, video that you.
Okay,
made.
thank you.
And about Congo Tales, Katia, I want to ask you, how difficult was it to talk to her, because she shared very intimate details, if I can be this bold to say that they were intimate details, about her baby, she taking the baby with her. So how difficult was it to get it out, get it all out of her? How easy or how difficult was it? And to Pauline, would you please talk a little about Write This Down Productions?
So I can say that wasn't easy because, as I said, it's well, it's actually it's my colleague Gianpaolo that gather all the stories. So you have to know that he's going to Congo since like 2008. So he's traveling there like every year, and he's always trying to look for stories. And it's always hard to get in touch with people and to get into that intimacy to let them telling you stories. So it wasn't easy. So he has to spend a lot of times with them and try to get to the point of the story. Is it?
Paulina?
Yeah, you want to find out more about Write This Down Productions?
Yes.
Okay, it's a production company that I started with my husband in 2005, although we were officially registered in 2008 in London. At the moment we're in Helsinki, but we started in London, and we are a small production company that mainly we have focused on short form content, short films, both fiction and documentary. And nowadays we also do commercials and music videos and a variety of things. We are branching more into digital projects. So as well as working on the Auramba experience, we're working on a similar immersive documentary for a big cultural institution in Finland. So it's a different way of us working. It's not a project that came from us as a company, but it's a client that we work with. We're also collaborating with some universities now on creating new e-learning platforms that use video, photography, graphic design and development to make learning more fun and more interactive for university students. And I would also like to say that in terms of the Auramba experience, one of our main target audiences will be schools, young children, because there is an increasing push, at least in the UK, to make global learning a bigger subject at schools and to teach children more about the wider world, teach them about tolerance and issues that affect them in their everyday life. And so we are hoping that we will bring out the Auramba experience primarily in the UK before we then go to other countries, and it'll be in English and later on in other languages. So what we do really is films, but more digital and education focused as well.
Yeah, it's really. Sorry, maybe I can elaborate. It's really hard to fund these kind of projects. They're pretty like big projects. You have a lot of. It takes a lot of time to produce, which also means a lot of money to work on. So I think most people working on these kind of projects have some side businesses next to it. So it's not just journalism or documentary making. You have to find a way to make a living as well. And like I said, there are a lot of people involved which also need to earn money. And
on that note, I'd like to ask you, Emiel, since the recent hackathon happened as well, is it more effective to work in small groups, or is it better? Do you find it better to work by yourself?
It's difficult. I think it's the same that Katia said. Before I worked on my project on my own, or I collaborated with. So the project about the refugees, I worked by myself. I did all the filming, the interviews, the preparations. I did a lot of the interactive stuff as well. Then I started to collaborate as well with some interaction designers to fine-tune everything and test the whole experience. it's a lot of work, and you kind of it's really hard to look at it with a fresh perspective and see the mistakes you make, and maybe you can go on a small problem which maybe is not really that important, but well, because it's your own project, you're really going into every detail and really want to make the best out of it. While you're maybe at a team, people influence each other, and you don't. Well, people can say to you, "Is this really important that we that the story is maybe not as good as it could be, but maybe it's good enough for the production." So you have more discussions about the end product, which I think works in the end better. And in the same time, if you work with more people, I think you, well, if you're in a team, there's more creativity as well. If you're just by yourself, it's kind of hard to be creative all the time, and then you're just talking to yourself like, is this a good idea? Yeah, no. While you're with 4 people, you can, and that's what we saw at the hackathon as well. If all these people were individual teams and they just started to work on their idea, probably they started with their first idea they had and not the end product they created right at the hackathon, because they were with 4, 5, 6, 7 people working on it. Because you influence each other, you have different backgrounds, you come up with different ideas, you know different things. So I think teaming up is the best idea to do if you want to work on bigger projects.
Yes.
Okay, 2 last questions. Katia, would you please talk about We Are Legion a little? And Emiel, about the shooting experience of Bub, that's all. And
Okay.
the things that came out of hackathon. 2 best things that came out of hackathon.
Okay. You want to start, Katia?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Katia, a little about We Are Legion.
Oh.
What's your view on it?
Also what?
We Are Legion.
I can't hear. Sorry.
Can you repeat your question?
We Are Legion. The yeah.
Sorry.
I can tell you maybe. I can start with talking about the video. I'm not sure if everybody saw the video. It's just a short clip, about 1 minute, about the motor, a guy on a motor. And you want to know how we did it? It started with a lot of planning, because it's shot on the highway mainly. So you and we did it with 2 persons. And we planned out all the shots beforehand. So I used Google Maps to find out now, like the starting shot. It's in a curved entrance of the highway. It's 2 lanes, so we start to look at places where we could film this. And then one person was driving, and the other one was just hanging out of the window filming. So we made this. Actually, we made like a whole plan where to shoot all the shots. So that's basically how we did it. And then we just went nuts in the editing to make it a nice story. And yeah, there was a lot of time with scouting the locations. Where do we film these difficult shots? Like we needed a ramp where we can film these kind of curves, and we didn't have any permissions from police to film on the road, so we were kind of working legally. And in the end, we also got warned by the police. So because I was sitting in the back of the car with a camera, and well, not on the highway, but on a smaller road, and they said, well, you're not allowed to sit in the trunk of your car and film. It's too dangerous. So they said, this is a warning. We'll be back in 5 minutes, and if you're still filming, you will get a fine. So, but it was basically done all from car, and some GoPro shots. I'm not sure if they're in there, but.
And the two best things that came out of hackathon. Yeah,
I think the best thing is for us, like as an organization from Hackastory, we found out that there are a lot of people interested in doing interactive new media, online storytelling, and are really up to experiment, because people gave up 2 days to work together for free. They didn't get paid for it. They actually had to pay for the food and for the location a little bit. So we found out that there are actually a lot of people who are really into experimenting and meeting new people. So there is a community actually who wants to experiment with online storytelling. So that's one of the best things we've learned from organizing this. And as well, all the new connections that are there, because if you put in 28 or 30 people in one room, people start to talk and new things start out, and a lot of these people are working freelance or in small companies, so there's a real chance for new projects to come out of it. So we had all these projects which are during the hackathon. Some of them are actually trying to build on continue the work on it. But I think the most important thing is the connections that you create by putting these people together.
Thank you, Emiel, Katia, and Paulina. Hello all. My question is for Paulina. Paulina, you were quoted by Maggie Rose saying that you didn't want to approach the people as a journalist but as a documentary filmmaker. And since we are journalists who are interested in documentary filmmaking, can you tell me the difference that you see between the two?
Between a journalist and a documentary filmmaker?
Yeah.
I think some journalists are also documentary filmmakers and vice versa, but I think it's more about the approach that you decide to take. I mean, we decided not to work, if you like, journalistically on the Aramba experience because we felt that it was more important to work in collaboration with the community, to understand the issues that they care about and to understand how they wanted to be represented. So the Aramba has had a lot of journalists visiting, and many people have written articles about them. Some people have made news reports about them. But very often there has been factual errors. Things have been said about them which are untrue, and some of these things have caused them problems. For instance, just to give you an example, in the past, when they were trying to establish the community, they decided not to build a church or a mosque in the village because they believe that faith is within oneself and it can be shown through actions. It doesn't have to be shown through worshipping. And that was a very conscious decision, which then made the village almost infamous. So they had some attacks from neighboring villages who didn't understand who they were. They didn't understand what Aramba was trying to do, because in that part of Ethiopia, religion is often equals morality. So people couldn't understand that. How can you not have a church in your village? How can you still be moral human being? And so by the time, this caused them a lot of problems. So it's only really been in the last 10 years that they've been accepted by their neighbors because they've been talking to them. They've been, been able to talk things through, and people have seen that they're good people, that they are not crazy people. But then when journalists came to the village, some of the reports that came out were saying contradictory things, like this is an atheist community. And this is something that really could cause them a problem. So there was a thing that we really discussed with them. So how can we tell the world about Auramba in the way that they want to be represented, but also in an objective way? So looking at all the things that have been said, which are not true, and kind of clarifying those things. So in a way, we're giving them a platform to share their voices the way they want to. But at the same time, of course, we have a responsibility to be showing things in an objective light. So as a documentary filmmaker, we also keep some of that integrity, that this is something that is also our point of view of it, of course, because we are there as a filmmaker, so it is our point of view. So I think it's really finding a balance between how you represent somebody and how that relationship between you and that somebody is, and then being very transparent about it. So for us to really say to the audience, this is how we worked, this is what we think. Working in this way can benefit the people there and can benefit the audience. Not everybody agrees with me. I mean, we've had a lot of commissioning editors, especially in television, say that you should be looking at these different angles of this. But we've decided to work like this because we think it's the right thing for this particular project. But I don't know if that answers your question. And I mean, again,
it does. Thank you so much.
Some documentaries, you're more of a journalist, and some documentaries, I don't know, choose to work differently.
Right. I had one more question. How did you deal with the language issue? Because that's something we face very often. So, especially in the terms of documentary filmmaking, you do in-depth stories. So, how do you deal with that?
The language has always been a major part of the projects that I worked on, because I've worked in many other countries, also in India and Bangladesh. But in Ethiopia, the main language is Amharic. So we've always worked with a translator. And this is actually the key part of our work, is choosing the right person. And it is so difficult because that person we work with is somebody who understands what you want, but also has a good rapport with the people that we're filming. So it's a very tricky thing to find someone who's good. And we have worked with several people there, but one of the particularly good translators we had was a woman who was actually, her profession was a health worker, and she had worked with children in shelters, and it was because her empathy towards people was so good. So she didn't come from a filmmaking background, she didn't really have that experience, but I think it was because of her empathy, the way she was able to approach people, that helped us a lot. And another thing I would say about the language is that even though I don't speak Amharic, and even though they don't speak English, we still manage to communicate, even if we are just two of us. I mean, if it's just me and somebody from the village. Because for some strange reason, there is this universal language that is not about words. So I think after having spent a lot of time there, we found this common language, and we have a sort of a close relationship.
Thank you so much, Paulina. Katia, this question is for you. Why exactly did you choose this particular medium for your stories? Because like you said, that you already had a collection of stories, so why choose immersive or this sort of way to project your stories?
Because it's a project based mostly on photographic reports. So I thought that we should have think about a good way to show a lot of photographs, because it was the media we used the most. So I thought that just a slideshow or something similar wasn't enough, and we should separate all the content we had and try to divide in chapters all the stories, but also try to put something different in between, not to get the viewer bored about watching photographies one after the other. So we decided to put photography, base everything on photography, and adding some little sounds of the places where the photos were taken, sounds of the interior house of the people we met, and some other videos that could move a little, could give something different from a static image. And yes, it was basically a way to discover and go dig into these whole places.
Thank you so much.
Hello everybody, my name is Ravi. I just wanted to ask you, how much time does it take for you to complete the entire documentary process? On an average.
How much time? Well, it really depends on how much you want to tell, actually. So if you look at the Hackastory hackathon we organized last weekend, people only had 48 hours. So they came in on Friday at 10 o'clock. We had some introductions, some talks. They started to form teams at around 11, started to discuss, and at the end of the day they had some idea what kind of story they wanted to produce. And then they had the whole Saturday, or they started on Friday evening and until 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night, and then the next morning they started again at 9 o'clock to work on the project until 6 o'clock. So they had maybe 20 hours of producing. But on the other hand, if I see my own projects, they're probably much longer because you also have to do the filming, finding the ideas, stuff like that. So that really depends on what you want and how good you want it to be. So I would advise you to start with some small projects. I did a big project which took me about 1.5 years to find the funding, to find the right people, find the stuff like that. And I think Paulina is even working longer for her Anda story.
Too long.
So yeah, start. Maybe if you want to try, start with a smaller project. Find some people which you can work with, some technical people, and say, okay, we want to finish a project in 6 months or something like that, and play around with the technique, because you can get really caught up in all the technical possibilities. So I think you should really start and play around and find some people around you which are better in coding, which are better in designing, and you as a storyteller, as a journalist, find your own niche and work with that, and find people who like to experiment as well.
So does it? Do you work as an individual or you work as a team? How often do you work as a team?
I think 1/3 of the time, but then it's mainly on video. I work as a team as well, but sometimes alone. It also depends on budgets. And on the interactive, I try to team up as much as possible. But some smaller multimedia stuff I do alone, with some editor maybe, and discussing the storyline, stuff like that. But like the small just reportage work, it's mainly 1 or 2 persons. Yeah.
So
Bigger
normally
projects,
it is 3
more
to 4
people.
people, is it?
Yeah, 4 people I think is good. 5 people even.
Right. And one more question: since this being an interactive documentary that you guys make, so the interactive elements, do you start thinking about it after you are done with your shooting, or do you think about all that while you're shooting the documentary?
For me, it was all planned before. So, for example, the interview I mentioned before, which are shot in different questions, which people can choose to dig deeper into the story. I decided to present the story this way, so I also, during the interview, for example, you see the guy sitting just like me, with some questions next to his head. So like, here's a question, here's a question, here's a question. I need this shot, so I asked him to sit for 15 or 20 seconds and just don't talk and just move a little bit so I could display the different questions next to his head. So people can choose. So I really thought about the interaction beforehand.
Katie and Paulina?
Yeah, the way we worked actually is before we went to Ethiopia to film for the project, we actually had a team. We have a graphic designer and a developer who we worked with for maybe a month or 2 to map out the whole user experience. So what is it going to be? What's not just films, but what's the additional content going to be, and what kind of additional things would we have to shoot in Ethiopia, because of course we can't go back there really easily. So we had to plan for all the slideshows and the additional interview content, for all the 360 content, and everything we had to think about beforehand, really. And even, I have to say, when we came back, we didn't have everything. So now we actually are looking to go one more time before we finish the project to complete, because once you then start working, you realize that there might be gaps and you didn't get everything. But it's really, really important that you plan beforehand before you start filming. I think, like Emiel said, that you will kind of need to plan for certain shots, maybe that is after the interview or whatever you're shooting, that will make sense in the interactive space. So, and the project I'm working on now, we're also working with a team way before we start filming anything. So, I mean, all the drawings, all the user experience plans are going to be made before we start filming anything.
Yeah, for me it was the opposite, because we realized doing the documentaries online that we missed some interactive things, because once you see what you have done, you could understand that maybe something is missing, and that's the importance of being more than 2 people, of being a real team, because if you're alone, you will miss something, and you realize after doing it that maybe if you had some other shots or some other kind of little audio or anything, it could have worked better. So that's why it's very important to have more people to work with, I think.
So do you have a mental blueprint of sort when you work on it?
Sorry, can you repeat?
You have like a blueprint of sort when you start working on the documentary. You say I need these kind of shots and I would go and shoot it, or you do it on the go.
Yeah, for me there was like a script. So I did pre-interviews with the people, finding out the story, what could be interesting stories to use in the web documentary, and with this script, or like you say, outline, you start an interview, and of course you find out new things, and during the filming you find out new stories and angles. You can use those, but at least if you have like a blueprint, you know where to start your story. So
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Anand Jairam. Uh, okay, this is to Emil. Okay, have there been any hackathons that hasn't worked out as such? Because normally you have, I'm guessing you have a collaborative thoughts and ideas, and some ideas that haven't worked out. Is it like, um, is there any kind of selection process to choose what topic everyone has, or is it, or does everything work on, or does everyone work on everything?
Yeah. Well, this was our first event we organized. So this was our first hackathon. And it's pretty, we talked a lot with a lot of people about how to organize these kind of events. We talked with hackathons for game developers, for some other hackathons that were organized in the Netherlands before. And they came up with, so we asked them, like, how do you form teams? We decided not to create the teams beforehand, but we asked people to bring some story IDs, some raw material like video or photos they had, or some data. Some guys came up with just some whole data sets. So we asked the individuals to bring stuff, and then we did some team forming, and people just formed groups themselves. For the results, like, we had 6 teams, and one team was working with virtual reality, with Oculus Rift. So it's a 3D glasses you put in front of your head, and you can watch 360 video and games. We could use one of those glasses, but they had quite some challenges as a team to just get it running, and so they started out with the idea to make some experimenting film with this Oculus Rift, but it already took them a whole day just to connect it to the computer and keep the software, get the software running. So this is possible during a hackathon. I mean, it's you don't have a solid plan, and that's the fun part, but that's also the hard part. If you just have 48 hours and you experiment, you can make mistakes, or you can fail to do what you intend to do. But I don't think it's a problem, because they learned a lot from it. They learned how to set up an Oculus Rift, and they know for the next project, if they want to do something with an Oculus Rift, they know that setting it up is pretty difficult. But the great part about the whole failing was that they didn't see it as a failing. They started to experiment, they started to work on it, and they started to think about, okay, so if it's this difficult, what else is difficult about working with this Oculus Rift? What does it mean as a filmmaker to work with a 360 degrees camera? Where do you put a cameraman? Where do you put a soundman? Where do you put your lighting? Because everything is visible in a 360 video. So they had this difficulty with starting up the project, and maybe it didn't start as they wanted. They wanted to work on a video which is 360. They ended up with something totally different, with more like a manifesto. You can find it on our website about what are the how to implement filmmaking in 360 world. So I don't think it's it doesn't matter if you if your first idea doesn't work out the way you want. You're in a team with a lot of creative people, and you come up with a new idea. So we didn't have any failures.
Yeah, and okay, you told me that you used the Oculus Rift, and you use a 360 degree, I mean, video filmmaking. And you also said that you use some games as well. I'm not quite sure of that. And then I just want to know what tools did you use while actually developing this whole hackathon? Was it the C++ code or was it? I'm not quite.
Well, like the organizers, we were the three of us, and my background is journalism and interaction design, so I know a bit of coding, but it's just basic HTML, PHP, so I'm really not into all the details with that. And the other two organizers, one is a transmedia producer, and the other one is also a journalist, a documentary maker. So we don't have a technical background. So we asked. So with the selection of the people, we really focused on 10 people who were coders, 10 people who were designers, 10 people who were storytellers. So we at least had a good combination of people for each team. And we just facilitate the Oculus Rift. We didn't have any software or cameras to work with. The people that were, so they came up. The teams came up with their own ideas, and which are influenced by the possibilities of the programmers and the designers and the storytellers. So we didn't actually hand them out tools to work with, but there are a lot of people in a group. So you have like 30 people, and they all have maybe tools they can share. But a lot of the things are all built from scratch, all the storylines, all the software. Like you have this story about StoryWeb, which is like an interactive story structure they created, like a spider web, which they just created by themselves in, I don't know, I think it's PHP and jQuery.
Okay, that's
Can I say something? Sorry.
Yes.
If you are interested in 360 degrees experience, you should check this project, which is called Way to Go. I can send you the link after. I just discovered it was presented at the Sundance Festival, and I think it's pretty amazing. You should watch it.
Ah, yes. You should really try to experience. Yes. And if you want to play with it, Google has this really cheap product which is called Cardboard, which you can put in your smartphone, and it creates a 3D camera, or like a 3D glasses. So it's like you can check it out. It's called Cardboard. And you can make it yourself. So I think you can find it also it's just cardboard which you put in your phone, and it creates a really nice 3D effect. And it's on Android, so you can easily create just, well, if you have some people that know how to work with Android platform, you can create your own stories with that as well.
This is to Paulina. You basically work with the people in Ethiopia. So I was just wondering, how has this collaborative project helped the people? I mean, are they more forthcoming, or are they still apprehensive about it? And the second, two parts to this question. And you said that they want to be in. You said they want to be. You want them to be involved on their own terms. Do you still plan to work with them, make them a little bit more sustainable, or do you have any future projects that you plan to go forward with?
So is the question if we're planning to work with the community after this project?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yes, they're very much, I mean, when I said we're collaborating, it's been like that from the beginning. So it was also their wish to do something and to use the internet to kind of tell their story. So, and we have developed a relationship with them over the last 10 years. So I've been there 7 times, spent several months living there. And I consider myself part of their community in a way, just as living in another place. And yes, we have plans to do other things outside of the media project. For example, one of the ways that we were hoping we could connect them with the outside world, because they really wanted to continue the conversation. So to present the ideas that they have changed in their community, but then hear the ideas of other people and to continue that conversation online. So we're discussing with technology company in Kenya that does this internet solution for rural areas called Brick, and perhaps using that to bring the faster internet to the village. They already have internet, but it's very slow. And apart from the internet technology, we also hope to give them some training, social media training. Some of the young people there already have smartphones, and they have some computers available in the village, although they are a little bit old, so I don't know what the situation is now, whether they would be able to get something that's more modern to help the communication. But apart from the devices, like I said, we want to facilitate some kind of training so they know how to, for example, communicate with the audience, how to moderate the Q&As, and how to maybe build a community blog where they can, share updates from their village, upload pictures, give the audience some news from their regular. That's one thing, and we're also thinking about doing something a little bit more involved, but I can't really discuss it yet because it's kind of work in progress. We are talking about some further collaboration that would help their economic development there, and that would be kind of in a social enterprise capacity, not in a kind of fundraising aid capacity, but in a business capacity.
And just a follow-up question. You said they have dial-up connections and they have a few computers right now. Are you planning to? And you said that you've been with them for the past 10 years,
yeah.
right? So are you planning to use this probably? Okay, one would call it opportunity to probably expand to the other villages as well, in order to have better interaction with them and also make them more aware with what exactly is the powers of the internet in order to put their problems and their stories forward.
No, we haven't come that far yet. I think what's important first is that the story can be shared with perhaps people who don't have access to the internet. So we have been in touch with some NGOs working on the ground who made some mobile screenings in other villages, but I'm not as far ahead as that, as kind of working with other villages in this way, because one step at a time. But we'll see. Maybe in the future, who knows?
Thank you very much, Katia. This question is to you. Sorry, guys. How see this whole Congo Tales is really fascinating. I was just wondering, when you initially started off, how open were they to this project? I mean, how did you track the entire progress in Kivu? And weren't you in a dangerous position when filming this or taking pictures? And what kind of challenges you or your team face, and how did you overcome this obstacle? Okay. Katia, is there?
Sorry, my connection is really bad. So
okay, I just want to know.
Basically, we started working on the multimedia project a year and a half ago, and we have been trying to collect all the stories that were gathered through different years.
Okay. Yes, that's it. Thank you very much. And yeah.
Hi guys, thank you very much indeed for being with us. So we'd appreciate if you could share. Sorry.
Sorry,
Yeah, I would appreciate if you could share, particularly when Avramba comes out, and we'd like to see it when it comes out online, and your new projects too. Thank you very much, Emiel, Katia.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Okay.